3,000 subscribers. Wow. I'm being quiet because it is late at night. But I'm even impressed with that. It's fantastic now that I've got so many more people to talk to about bar soap. So if you're a new subscriber, welcome. And if you've been with me for a while, thanks for sticking around. I really wish that I could give every single person who's subscribed to this YouTube channel their own awesome, cool bar of soap. But practically speaking, that's not affordable. But at the same time, I do want to give you something. So that's why I've made this video. I guess it's my way of giving back. And if you ever saw my Why I Love Bar Soap video, then you heard me ramble on about the Soviet Union and economics and things like that. So you know I love finance and money and all of that stuff. But the truth is, I used to be really, really stupid when it came to money. And Thanksgiving is approaching. Here in America, it is a holiday where we stuff our faces with as much food as we can and then pass out early. But it's also a period in time where we stop, we reflect, and we're thankful for the things we have. And as always, I'm thankful for my friends and family. Those are the most important things in life, believe it or not. I know sometimes it can seem like material wealth is all that matters, but trust me when I say it's not. However, material wealth is important, and I am thankful for the fruits of, well, my hard work and some of the wisdom that was also passed along to me from others. And one of the guys I want to introduce you to, and it's going to be Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He is a financial guru. He helps people who have severely screwed up their lives. And if you haven't severely screwed up your life, then you're going to do just fine. But I actually did, and I'm going to tell you a sad story that has a happy ending. But back to Dave Ramsey. So I picked up this book, The Total Money Makeover, for $1 at a thrift store. I can't tell you how psyched I was. And when I finish this book, I'm actually planning to give it to a friend. He's going to read it. When he gets done reading it, he's going to give it to a friend of his. And we're just going to sort of keep that chain going, changing people's lives. Dave Ramsey, he has a radio station. He also has a YouTube channel. And I really like reading his book, but let's say you're the type of person who can't stand reading. I just did a quick Google search, and apparently the audio version of the books are even on YouTube. So there's a way to get that information. Now, he does involve a little bit of religion in his money advice, but let me tell you, it's not the primary focus of what he's telling you. So you can be, atheist, you can believe in religion's different than Christianity. It doesn't matter. His advice is still sound and still worth listening to. But back to my story real fast. Okay, so, wow, I learned the hard way. And I'm a smart guy, but when I was 18, I was really, really stupid. I had a job, a minimum wage job. I made money. I spent money. And when you're 18 years old, you've got no impulse control. You have no idea what awaits you in the world. But you do know you want to have a great time and you want to live your life to the fullest right then and right now. And that's the scary thing when you're like a teenager, is that it's the way life comes at you, because they throw credit cards at you. They just start showing up in the mail like day in, day out. You can resist it for a while, but eventually you just give in because, hey, rewards program, right? Might as well, don't want to leave this cash on the table. If you ask someone, hey, I'll give you $50 if you let me cut your hand off, but I'm going to give you $50 right now, most people would say, no, that's a terrible offer. But with credit cards, you just don't see it. And it was the same way for me. When I first started using my credit card, it was like, well, I'm going to pay this off every month and be responsible. And then 2 months later, I've spent more money than I'm actually making. I'm going to have to dip into my meager savings to pay it off, which is the responsible thing to do. And then 6 months later, you're out of savings and you're carrying a balance from month to month, and that balance is growing. But maybe you just don't care as much anymore. You're so used to what you're doing. And then you're 21 years old, like I was, in a bar in San Diego. It's like 1 in the morning, and you want to buy a round for your friends. And then you find out that your credit card's been declined because it's maxed out. I made the mistake of calling up my credit card company. It's like, ring, 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 ring. Hey, what's up, bro? Can you extend me some more credit? And the guy on the other line says to me, I'm sorry, sir, we don't extend credit to people in bars. Also, you're maxed out. Thank you. Goodbye. He knew that I had a problem before I did. It took me like another week before I realized that I had royally screwed myself financially. The whole house of cards just came crumbling down because I didn't just have one credit card that was maxed out. I had several, and I simply could no longer afford the minimum payments. And when you're not making your minimum payments on time, then they have all these penalty rates, and everything just explodes into like a debt fireball. And then the calls start. They start calling you 5 times a day, different credit card companies, constantly, until the point you reach that point where you don't even want to turn your phone on. And then the threatening letters start coming in the mail non-stop. And it is a world of terrible stress. Like you feel it. You feel it. Even if the phone's off and you're not reading the mail, you have this dread that hangs over you every day, every minute. It makes you sick. It saps your life energy. It is depressing. And I know because I have lived it. And it's awful. But, and I found some of Dave Ramsey's principles maybe naturally. I really respect what he says because I sort of lived through it. And I didn't discover him until it was too late. But I stopped using credit cards because back then I had no choice. All my credit cards were cut for me. I could not. I had to live on a debit card. I could only spend what I made. And I didn't have to worry about my credit score because that went right in the toilet. If someone wanted to steal my identity, well, I wasn't going to worry. They couldn't get anything out of it. That's how bad things were. But over time, I started to make more money, and I realized this is not the way to live. You can't live like this. And so I paid down my credit card debt, and I made sure that I controlled my spending. I actually started a budget, and you'd be surprised at how old I was before I actually started a budget. You know, I mean, we hear about budgeting all the time, but how many of us really sit down and just write out all our bills? I mean, it's just we're lazy, it's not important, it's not something we do, but you cannot control your finances until you make your own budget. And I strongly suggest everyone else do that. Dave Ramsey actually has a tool that you can use to help you plan out your budget. But yeah, so I gained control of my life, and now I have no credit card debt. Let me tell you what a weight off of my shoulders it is. I'm going to live an extra 10 years because I'm not being constricted with stress. It's wonderful. And my next goal is to pay off my car completely. These are just, I mean, it's important to live debt-free, and that's what he helps talk about on his radio show. And his YouTube channel in particularly is interesting because, yeah, if you're only making $25,000 a year, life is hard just to begin with. But ironically enough, you've got guys who make $150,000, $200,000 a year, and they are in the same boat living paycheck to paycheck because they've spent themselves into oblivion. You know, they have boatloads of student debt. They have ridiculous amounts of credit card debt. We're talking $30,000, $70,000. They've got 2 new cars. It is insane. What Dave Ramsey does is he sits people down and he basically gives them a good kick in the ass. And no one's going to change your problems but you. There are not going to be any easy solutions, but with hard work and saying no to those things that you always want to buy, to limiting yourself, to living below your means, you can change your life and you can end up just a very happy person. You know, I'm not a baller by any means today, but now I can afford to take, you know, fiscally prudent vacations. I can spend money when I want to, and just primarily I don't have to live in fear. And that's a gift that I want to share with so many of you for the holiday season, because surprisingly enough in America, 60 to 70% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and I don't even remember the amount of people who have credit card debt, but it is significant. So I know that out of the 3,000 of you watching this, some of you will go through the experiences that I just described to you if you're not in it already. And it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're 18, if you're 50, it's never too late to change your life. And I especially hope that there are people watching this who are, you know, 16 or 17. If I can get to you before everyone else does, if I can tell you about Dave Ramsey, if you can watch his show, because on the show you hear all of these different callers, and it's heartbreaking when you hear the college students calling in because they have non-dischargeable debt, and not just a little debt. We're talking some of the kids have $50,000, $150,000, $300,000 is one person. And they're not engineers, they're not always doctors, they have sometimes a psychology degree or a sociology degree, and they'll never be able to pay off that debt. I mean, it's people have put themselves in binds. Although I shouldn't say never, because some of the stories of the people who followed Dave Ramsey's plans have led to an amazing turnaround. I mean, it might take you 5 years, it might even take you a decade, depending on how bad off you are, but you can change. You can live a much better life long term. It's possible. But okay, so enough rambling. I guess that's sort of my gift to some of you out there. It's probably not the best gift to everyone, but it's something that I really wanted to give you. And it's not often, it's going to be extremely rare that I go off of my regular bar soap reviews on this channel. But because I hit 3,000 subscribers and it's Thanksgiving, I really wanted to go the extra mile this time. So that's my gift to you this holiday season. Remember to be thankful for your friends, your family, and of course, really good soap. I'll see you next time. Thank you for joining me.